Every empire in history had its symbol. Rome had its legions, Britain had its navy, and America has its dollar. It's the only piece of paper that can buy a house in Cambodia, oil in Saudi Arabia, and coffee in Brazil without translation. But how did a local American note become the world's king of money? And can it stay on the throne forever? Today, we'll unfold the 100-year story of trust, war, gold, and power, and why understanding it is essential to your financial future. The story starts in the early 1900s. Back then, major nations tied their currencies to gold. If you held a note, you could exchange it for real metal. That connection created trust money was as solid as the gold behind it. The US dollar was just one of many currencies. But two things set it apart: America's growing economy and its vast gold reserves. By 1913, the U.S. established the Federal Reserve, a central bank that could manage both credit and gold supply. The stage was set for a new financial power. When World War I erupted, Europe needed weapons, food, and loans, and America supplied them all. Gold flowed into U.S. vaults while debt flowed out of Europe. By the end of the war, America held most of the world's gold and therefore most of its trust. The dollar's power wasn't declared. It was earned through necessity. Every nation that needed rebuilding had to deal in dollars. Trust in American productivity quietly replaced trust in European empires. Then, in 1929, the Great Depression shattered global finance. Governments hoarded gold, trade collapsed, and currencies panicked. Franklin D. Roosevelt made a radical move. He took the U.S. off the domestic gold standard and seized control of private gold. It was controversial but strategic. By separating paper from metal, America gained flexibility. It could print and spend to revive the economy. That move would later become the backbone of global monetary power. When World War II ended in 1945, much of the world lay in ruins, except the U.S. Its factories were booming, its banks were full, and its navy protected global trade. At the Bretton Woods Conference, 44 nations agreed on a new system. The U.S. dollar would be the center of world trade, backed by gold at $35 per ounce. It was simple. Other currencies were pegged to the dollar, and the dollar was pegged to gold. Thus began the era where every nation needed dollars to survive. But in 1971, something broke. The U.S. had printed too many dollars for the Vietnam War and global aid. Foreign nations demanded their gold back, and there wasn't enough. President Richard Nixon ended gold convertibility. The dollar was now backed only by faith. To keep its dominance, America forged a silent alliance with oil-producing nations. They agreed to price oil only in U.S. dollars, the birth of the petrodollar system. From that day, every country needed dollars to buy energy, the fuel of civilization itself. That deal made the dollar indispensable. Even now, over 80% of global trade and 60% of central bank reserves are held in U.S. dollars. Why? 3 reasons. Liquidity: the dollar is everywhere. Stability: America's economy is still trusted. And the network effect: once everyone uses it, no one wants to switch. The dollar isn't perfect, but it's predictable. And in finance, predictability is power. Now the world is changing again. China promotes the yuan for trade. Europe pushes the euro. Digital currencies and crypto challenge the need for paper trust. And some nations talk of de-dollarization, yet every time a crisis hits, from the 2008 meltdown to the 2020 pandemic, investors still run to the dollar. Because when fear rises, people don't seek profit. They seek safety. The dollar's power isn't just military, it's psychological. But every crown carries weight. The world depends on the US dollar, and that gives America unmatched privilege. It can borrow in its own currency. It can sanction nations through its banking system. Yet that dominance breeds tension. As America prints more money to fund its lifestyle, other nations bear the inflation pressure. Some call it the exorbitant privilege. Others call it financial imperialism. Power and resentment grow together, like twin vines around the same pillar. The US dollar didn't conquer the world chose it. Because it represented trust, stability, and strength in a century of chaos. But history teaches one thing: no empire stays forever. Gold had its age. Sterling had its age. And one day, even the dollar will face its test. The dollar became king not by power alone, but by trust. The next king will rise the same way, not printed, but earned. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to join us for more profound stories.